I don't care what that piece of paper says. You are in direct violation of the covenants, and your vehicle is gone.
The orange tow sticker slapped onto my windshield at 6:18 a.m. looked like a crime scene tag. Cold air bit my face as I stepped onto the wet driveway in socks, the smell of asphalt and burnt coffee drifting from a neighbor's open garage. A pickup with an amber light bar sat at the curb, idling like it owned the street. The driver tapped his clipboard, metal pen clicking. On the sticker, it said unauthorized vehicle on private property, and the fee was $250 if I didn't move it in 30 minutes. My house lights were still off. My dog was still asleep. And somehow, my own driveway had become a violation. By the time I reached the curb, the HOA president was there in a fluffy robe and slippers, like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. She pointed at my front gate and said, "This is private property. You can't park here." I stared at her, then at my own mailbox, then at the tow guy like this was a prank show. That morning, I realized my life had turned into Karen ticketed my mansion claiming this is private property. Then I filed the deed with the Bodycam video. It's deeded to my lot. Not shared. I said it slow, like explaining math to a kid. She smiled like she didn't hear me. I tried to be normal about it. I grabbed my phone, opened the HOA portal, and sent a calm message at 6:31 a.m. I even added a smiley face, because I'm an adult who pays my dues. At 9:00 a.m., I walked into the clubhouse office with the tow sticker in my hand like a dirty diaper. The board rep didn't even look up from her screen. She said, "Appeals take 30 days. The president stood behind her with folded arms, eyes shining. In the hallway, two neighbors pretended to read the bulletin board. One wouldn't meet my eyes. The other whispered, "Sorry, man," and vanished like I had a contagious disease. That's when the line got drawn. Not because of pride. Because of the math. 30 days meant they could do this again, and rack up fees until I either paid or broke. I told myself, no yelling. No games. Proper channels only. Then I went home and started building my case like it was a school project with my piece on the line. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I printed the tow sticker. I screenshot the HOA portal message. I wrote down every time she walked onto my driveway like she was inspecting a battlefield. Timeline item 1 April 5th at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. I didn't know it would matter yet. I just knew patterns don't happen by accident. 2 days later, May 5, 2024, I stood at the county records window under buzzing fluorescent lights, holding my driver's license like it was a backstage pass. The clerk slid a thick packet across the counter with a heavy thump, paper edges sharp as a warning. The file landed with 83 pages, stamped and clipped, smelling like dust and toner. Inside was the plat map, the legal description, and the recorded deed that showed my driveway and gate were part of my lot, not an HOA common area. The clerk pointed at a line and said, "This is your boundary." Clear as day. I asked for certified copies anyway. If someone wanted to play pretend, I was about to bring props. The next move was the Bodycam. Because the president didn't just slap stickers on cars. She called authorities like they were her personal security team. I filed a public records request for the April 5th call, then another for May 3rd at 6:05 a.m., when she reported an unknown vehicle on private property. When the video came in, I watched it twice, jaw clenched so hard it hurt. A deputy walked up, scanned my plate, and knocked on my door. On camera, the deputy said, "This address matches the registration." Then the president stepped into frame, pointing like a traffic cop, and said, "He's trespassing on HOA property." The deputy looked at her and said, "Ma'am, this appears to be his residence." I didn't blast it online. I didn't send it to the neighborhood group chat. I did the boring, legal thing that hits harder. On May 10, 2024, at 7:45 p.m., I attended the HOA board meeting with my binder, certified deed, and a calm face I had to practice in the mirror. The president saw the binder and laughed under her breath like I brought crayons. She said, "You're still in violation." I slid the certified deed forward, then the plat map, then the toe sticker. I said, "Before you fine me again, I'd like this entered into the meeting minutes." The room got quiet in that way where you can hear someone's chair squeak. Then I handed over the Bodycam transcript. Her smile turned stiff. That's when the neighborhood woke up. Not loudly at first. More like a slow wave rolling in. A guy in the back lifted his phone and started recording, keeping it low like he was filming wildlife. Someone's smartwatch dinged twice in a row. I heard a whisper behind me, "That's his driveway, I've seen his kids ride bikes there." Another voice said, "She towed him? For parking at his own house?" A woman near the door muttered, "She did this to my sister last year." I saw 3 people open the community app like it was breaking news. Later, my phone buzzed with notifications I didn't ask for. Group chat messages stacked up, "Is this real?" I thought that gate was his. Why is she calling cops on residents? Someone save that video. This is getting out of hand. The board tried to regain control, but the evidence didn't care about their tone. The next week, the county code enforcement officer showed up at the clubhouse, along with a deputy who wasn't smiling anymore. The officer asked for the HOA's basis to claim my driveway as common property. The board rep pulled out a binder that looked brand new and mostly empty. The officer compared it to my certified deed and the plat map. He said, "Recorded documents outweigh internal rules." The deputy added, "We responded to multiple calls from this address." He looked at the president and said, "False reports waste resources." Then he said the plain thing everyone needed to hear. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. The president's face went pale, like all her oxygen got shut off at once. You could feel the room tilt, like gravity changed direction. People who usually slouched sat straighter. The quiet ones stopped shrinking. A neighbor who always avoided meetings cleared his throat and finally spoke, asking for the minutes to reflect the deed. Another person asked how many complaints had been filed in the last 6 months, and the board rep suddenly couldn't find her numbers. Phones weren't hidden anymore. They were up, steady, documenting. The president kept adjusting her papers, but her hands looked clumsy, like she forgot how to hold authority. Every time she tried to talk, someone coughed or shifted, and she lost her rhythm. It wasn't cheering. It was worse for her. It was the spell breaking. The bully losing air. The room deciding, together, that her version of reality wasn't real enough to stand on. After that, the consequences landed quietly, like heavy mail. The HOA attorney sent a letter confirming my driveway was excluded from enforcement, and any prior violations tied to it were void. The tow company refunded the fee and apologized, because they didn't want county heat. The board voted to remove the president from enforcement decisions pending review, which is a fancy way of saying they took away her favorite toy. Then the neighborhood changed in a way that made me laugh and breathe at the same time. People waved again. Folks who used to slip into their homes started lingering by the sidewalk. A dad down the street put up a camera that faced his own yard, not mine, and he said, "Just in case." The group chat turned from fear to facts, posting meeting notes and reminding everyone to save emails. It wasn't instant sunshine, but it was peace with a backbone. On a Saturday morning, May 25, 2024, I heard kids playing near my gate again, the sound bouncing off wet wood and fresh-cut grass. A neighbor dropped off a coffee and said, "I should have spoken up sooner." Another admitted he'd paid 2 fines just to avoid conflict, and now he wanted to appeal. People started asking for copies of the plat map like it was a treasure map. The board posted a notice about updated enforcement boundaries, and for once it wasn't a threat. It was an apology in disguise. The woman in the robe stopped marching around like a queen. She stayed inside more. When she did appear, she didn't point. She didn't call anyone. She just walked past, quiet, like someone finally told her no. A month later, I sat at my kitchen table with the certified deed and the printed Bodycam transcript, both dated and clipped, like the world's most boring trophies. The house was calm. No stickers. No flashing lights. Just the hum of the fridge and the soft tap of my dog's tail on the floor. I didn't win by yelling louder. I won by being right on paper, on record, and on camera. It still blows my mind how quickly power disappears when facts show up wearing a stamp and a timestamp. Some people only feel big when everyone else feels small. Turns out, all it takes is one file, one video, and a room full of neighbors who finally stop looking away. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and share. Was the HOA wrong? Drop a comment.